All right. Let's do this. We are drafting Aetherdrift. If we get 3 wins, we get to do it again. If we don't get 3 wins, that's tough. So let's get started. So the plan is to not lose a bunch. All right, everyone's selecting ready. The one last person. All right. Captain Howler. This card is pretty good. Haunt the Network is also extremely busted. Busted rare in an archetype I don't really like, or strong uncommon in an archetype I do like. I think let's take Haunt the Network. I want to be getting wins. Alright, then here we can get... Let's see, Interface Ace would bring us into Esper. Diversion Unit could keep us in blue-black. Hull Drifter could keep us in blue-black. Let's take Hull Drifter. I think that card's very good. Momentum Breaker is incredible. Engine Rat, also pretty good. I'm going to take Momentum Breaker and try to wield the Engine Rat. Alright, we get a dual land. This pack is pretty stacked, but I don't know. I mean, Siphon Fuel is kind of mid. I think the dual land is probably the best there. So this will help do mana fixing, which makes it more tempting to go into a third color, which would be very cool. Even if we don't go into a third color, having better mana is always good. Alright, a second Momentum Breaker. Yeah, it's got to be second Momentum Breaker. I guess it could be Gallant Strike, but I don't even know if we're going into white. If we already had good white cards, then I would probably take the Gallant Strike, because it's more likely to hit the thing that I want to hit. Alright. Interface Ace is fine. Grim Javelineer is pretty good. Howler's Heavy is kind of not the best. Let's take the Javelineer. I'm not super big on counter spells in draft. I like to tap out a lot, you know. All right. We could go like Sultai, I guess. Take Dredger's Insight. Let's take a Gravestalker. I don't know. Sultai seems pretty tempting. I don't know if that's actually good or not. Is there anything... Is Gearseeker Serpent... Gearseeker Serpent is pretty strong. Alright, here I think we take a Pothole Mole. We've seen a lot of these, which makes me think green might be open. There's a very good chance that I don't end up using it, but I think like 3-color is pretty strong in this format. I've done Esper literally twice in a row. I'm not seeing insane white cards, so let's try something different. So it's easily Scrap Compactor. We just need artifacts. Skybox Fairy, again, just kind of need good artifacts. Alright, Midnight Mangler is probably better than Aether Jacket. Like, at least it's a good blocker. I always end up cutting Aether Jacket from all of my decks. Probably not going to change that now. And we get a Wreck Remover. And we get a Basic Plains. Cool. So do we went Gonti or Gonti? I guess we can take a Gonti. That seems pretty good. It makes artifacts, and it basically draws us cards. Gosh, crazy weather outside right now. Take a third Momentum Breaker. Third Momentum Breaker is probably too many, but like, what is with the black in these packs? Jeez. Do we take Ripclaw Wrangler? Nah. Neither of those are exciting. Let's take a Bestow Greatness. That could be fun. If we're going into Sultai, having a crazy powerful combat trick seems good. Necro Regent is getting passed to us. I'm not going to complain about Necro Regent. Risky Shortcut is also a tempting pick. But I think we take the Necro Regent. And a second Hull Drifter. Probably Nimblethopterist here. It's 2 bodies, one of which is an artifact for value. I could take a Verge to fix my mana. Nah, I think it's the Thopterist. Alright, Engine Rat is great. I love finding me some 1-drops. Alright, another Scrap Compactor. Ether Siphon is like kind of mid. I've seen people play Ether Siphon against me a couple of times, and I think it's been kind of embarrassing for them every time. It's probably just another Scrap Compactor, which I'm probably going to end up cutting, but such is life. Alright. This Jungle Hollow is a pretty easy pick here. We already have one Chitin Gravestalker. It's not even that great of a card. Aether Jacket's kind of bad. Trip Up is like fine, but not really. Risky Shortcut late. Love to see that. Broodheart Engine really does help justify going into black-green a lot. And nothing else here is exciting. I guess we can take the Ripclaw Wrangler as well. Yeah, let's take that. Guidelight Optimizer, I guess. Cast Artifact Spells is pretty good. We're in green, so we might wind up with some exhaust stuff. Let's take second Hull Drifter. That's pretty good. And an 08, which I guess might make the cut, but hopefully it doesn't. Speed Demon. Alright, that's pretty much a snap pick. Yeah, nothing else here is crazy. Speed Demon is insane. So let's take it. Dredger's Insight is good. The rest of this pack is kind of mid. I guess we could take another Thopterist or another Engine Rat. I don't know, I kind of like Kind of like another engine rat. That's a tough pick. There are 3 really good cards in there. Oh, we get past Sabsunin pick 3. Alright. Green, 100% justified. No question about it. That card is insane. It's like basically unbeatable. Let's take a removal spell. 3 mana permanent removal spell as opposed to 4 mana temporary removal spell. None of the rest of these cards are super exciting. Alright, our curve is wacky. We have a lot of 5 mana stuff in here. We need more early-ish plays. Also, we need to get given packs to choose from. That would be helpful. Alright, a Verge in our colors. Or this. I think I'm strongly tempted to take the Verge. It's like in our colors, it fixes, and it's also just like a rare land, which is probably playable and constructed somewhere. The Ether Hive could also be fine. Alright, Grim Bauble is good. That's early removal and an early artifact. The Rover Blades are like kind of fine. Let's take another Bestow Greatness. That card really messes with combat. Dismal Backwater or a Pothole Mole. What's our mana looking like? We don't really have blue dual lands. Pothole Mole is really good. I'm going to take it. Probably Broken Wings. That pack's like almost good, but not really. Let's take a Dredger's Insight. And a Molt Tender. Dang, our last couple of picks have kind of been nuts. Like, we got so many good cards late. That's crazy. So we're like true 3-color, like super balanced between the 3, which is a little bit worrying. And our mana fixing isn't spectacular. It's like not terrible, right? We have Molt Tender. We have 3 lands. It's probably fine. Alright, yep, take that. Alright. We have 51 cards. Need to make 11 cuts. Yep. Alright, Chitin Gravestalker is probably the one of the weaker top ends. Skybox Fairy as well. Wreck Remover is super lame. Ripclaw Wrangler is not good. It's like a vehicle. It's like a 4-mana discard a card of my opponent's choice. Seems pretty bad. Alright. Then cut a Surveyor pretty safely. This curve is whack, by the way. Like, what is going on there? Let's see here. How many artifacts did we even end up with? 8, plus some things that make artifacts. That's probably fine. Probably don't want to cut the scrap compactors for that. Might cut the Guidelight Optimizer for that. Midnight Mangler, also not super exciting, but I do need early blockers to not die. Maybe that stays in anyway. Cutting cards from the deck. It's so hard. I like having, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 1-drops. Maybe that's 1 or 2 too many. Let's cut a scrap compactor and an engine rat. So now we're down to 4 1-drops. Down 1 removal spell. But that's probably fine. Curve is looking better. Still probably have 1 too many 5-drop as well. What are we taking? Haunt the Network is still going to be fine. I think. Hull Drifter is insane. Maybe Necro Regent. It might just be too hard to start your engines. I've always had trouble with this, turning that on. And we have so much 5 mana stuff anyway. I think we cut it. It's a shame because it's a sick card, but gotta make cuts. And maybe 1. No, I want 2 Bestow Greatnesses. Let's cut Grim Javelineer. Alright, let's try this. Sultai Greed with Artifact sub-theme, basically. I don't know. I'm just playing a bunch of good cards. Not gonna worry too much about the synergy is nice, but I'm just playing good cards pretty much. Alright. No green, but we have a rat. I'll go turn 1 rat, turn 2 tap land. Aha, I'm winning the race now. Up by 2. Alright, I would love to draw a green source. How about a Pothole Mole? Alright, well, I guess we attack with our Death Touch creature. Not blocking their flyer with it. And they are Grixis. Interesting. Well, I'm bricking on lands and green sources, which definitely does not bode well for me. What's this? Crew 2? So I can't even crew it with the rat. Thanks, Midnight Mangler. Very cool. Alright, we take those. The rat is much better, I think. Alright, when a creature deals combat to one of your opponents, I get a thing. Give me a thing, please. Midnight Mangler, not bad. Play that card as long as it remains exiled. And can use mana of any type. Cool. So I prefer a green source. Alright, risky shortcut hasn't fully worked out, but at least we drew a land. Kind of need a green source. We can haunt the network next turn for like 3, which is pretty good. If we draw a green land, we can bestow greatness onto our engine rat. Alright, so that is blue to sacrifice it, and they do not currently have blue. So let's do that real quick. I could have crewed the Mangler, I guess. Alright. The chump block has been achieved. I should have crewed the Mangler on it. Oh, it was summoning sick, was it? No, it wasn't. I should have crewed with it. Ah, well. You make mistakes. So that is exhaust to become a creature, or just crew 2. No blocks. Next turn we can Gear Seeker Serpent. Artifacts you control have ward, exhaust 4, kill non-artifact creatures. Okay, well I have artifact creatures, so that's not that bad. And we draw the green source. Lovely. That's fine. We can bestow greatness that. Alright, they just take the damage. In which case, we can play a mole and find more land. And so that could kill things, but there's only 2 artifacts in the graveyard. So the Serpent is going to be fine. It's a 5/6. And how much mana? So that's 6. So I can't make it unblockable and pump it. Otherwise, they would die to it. But they're probably still going to die anyway. Alright, they have their Swashbuckler. They cannot attack or they die instantly. Yeah, if they attack, they die. If they don't attack, I think they also just die to bestow greatness. Alright, let's... How much mana do I have? I have 8 mana, so I can do all of this. That's ward pay 2 life. Which I'm fine with, I think. Yes, target that. Alright, they crew. I will pay 2 life. And then I run out the Thopterist, which can crew the Midnight Mangler for an additional attacker. And then we attack out. And we bestow greatness, something for lethal. Alright, so they block the Serpent, they block the Mole. So right now they're taking 4 damage. If I bestow greatness, the Mole, that still kills them. And if something goes wrong, it saves another creature of mine. Alright, there we go. Easy peasy. Yeah, just play 3-color. Alright. That's 1 win, which means we get literally 50 gems out of the first win. It's actually so bad. like what were they cooking with that prize boost? Not even a pack or anything. The first pack is guaranteed. All right, let's get another game in. Currently waiting on an opponent. Alright, find an opponent. They're in bronze draft, which might be relevant, but probably isn't. All right, we have 2 lands. We have a Molt Tender and a Pothole Mole, so like the odds that we get mana screwed here are really quite low. All right, 3rd land acquired. So we can mill a thing, play a Pothole Mole, and then play Sabsunin on turn 4. Seems pretty good. And then Speed Demon on turn 5. This doesn't gain life or anything. Alright. We mail a card. Play a 3rd color. Casual basic land Tron. And we pass. Shout out to the mole, keeping attacks at bay. Oh, this game is about to get very silly. The casual double mythic. I'll be very sad if they have answers to these. Alright, do you have attacks? You have an attack. So you can exhaust that. Alright, no blocks. You got me. So slow. No blocks. Pass. Alright, I guess we mill a card. Just for value, I guess. Alright, we have blue, we have green. Let's exile an Engine Rat and play Sabsunin. Please don't have a counterspell, I will be very sad. Please don't be pausing for a counterspell. Just let it resolve. Just let it resolve. Alright, they've exhausted out of blue mana. We are in the clear for counterspells. Alright, and we have a giant 6/6. Yeah, so this is only for artifact spells, so wouldn't have worked to cast a counterspell. Alright, they have a Monument to Endurance. That's a little bit spooky. Indestructible blocker? What do they have? Do they have like -3/-3? No, they just have nothing. And I get to draw 2, play an island, and opponent, I think you're gonna like this. Speed Demon. What if I played another mythic? How about that? Alright, we do need to push damage now that the Speed Demon is on the field. Alright. If they stop the mole, they stop me from getting speed. They just wanted to kill the Molt Tender and save their optimizer, which means I get speed 2, which means I draw another 2 cards this turn. This is very fair and reasonable and balanced. Yeah, this is a messed up game of Magic already. Alright, well, unfortunately for you, sacrifice. So they almost got me. They almost got me with the old switcheroo. But I have sacrifice removal, and I drew like 3 cards that last turn. Alright, easy peasy. Alright, one more win, and we are guaranteed another draft today. The next win is, I think, by far the biggest value jump in the event. Alright, we've got a bit of a banger. We got Momentum Breaker into Risky Shortcut. Or Momentum Breaker into Pothole Mole if we need to. Or the classic turn 2 Molt Tender right on time. Alright, so I think here I just play the Mole. The Vanguard is not especially threatening. Take double black, double blue, actually doesn't matter, I have a Dismal Backwater. Alright, can I do anything with 1 mana? No. Alright, so there's Simic, looking like true Simic. I'll mill another card, just to say that I did. And I think we go to attacks with both, and try to bestow greatness them. Alright, got him. Ah, combat tricks. You love to see it. The camera launcher. They do keep managing to make my Momentum Breaker not kill the Refueler. Let's play another Mole. That seems like we gotta get some value out of our Molt Tender, right? Ah, there goes the Sabsunin. Rip. So we have 6 mana, so we can have 7 mana next turn. Alright, Scrap Compactor is great. That kills the Refueler before it can... Well, it kills the camera launcher. Wait, actually I can just kill the Refueler here. And no funny business with putting a +1/+1 counter on it. Just die. Alright. Still don't have good attacks, but they're still on 3 mana, and I'm on 6 mana plus a mana dork. Alright, they find the 4th. Oh, they're also Sultai. Understandable. Alright, the thing is, the longer I wait on this Haunt the Network, the better it is. So let's cast a Hull Drifter first, draw some cards. Second Momentum Breaker is pretty good, but I think I just Dredger's Insight here. Exile a Scrap Compactor. Grab a Broodheart Engine. Broodheart Engine can get me my Sabsunin back, so that's fun. Wait, how do I have 12 cards left in library? That is not good. Okay. I'm not sure how that happened, but I need to kill them fast and not do self-mill anymore. Alright, so I think this turn we Broodheart Engine and probably just haunt the network. So this is like 4. Alright, they blow up the engine. That's unfortunate. This is crew 3. Let's fire off a momentum breaker, I guess. Gotta get through all of these creatures at some point. Alright, they get rid of their flying blocker, which means we get to go to attacks with the hull drifter. Which is very good because we need to kill them before we mill out. Might have gotten a bit too lost in the sauce. Alright, they have their own Sabsunin, which means we probably lose. Alright. Can we just, like, push damage through anyway? Let's destroy the Howlers heavy, because that's indestructible. And I guess we just have to play a Nimblethopterist and pass. The problem is, like, I need to get rid of these 2 creatures somehow. I need to get rid of these 2 creatures so I can Momentum Breaker the Sabsunin. Oh, hello! Thank you so much, Hamhawks, for the raid. I appreciate it. I am drafting some Aetherdrift. We are currently in a Sultai Sabsunin mirror, but I milled mine. Hello, hello. The drafts are treating me pretty well. Unfortunately, they're treating my opponent slightly better. We both have Sabsunin. Theirs is in play. So that's awkward for me. I have 9 cards in my deck. And I do not know how to kill them through the Sabsunin. Yeah, it's pretty nutty. I unfortunately milled mine with a Pothole Mole. So I guess we need to force the last couple points of damage through somehow. I don't know, maybe we Momentum Breaker. Alright, so this will get rid of one thing, and I don't know, maybe we can, like, all-out attack and push through, but they just have too many creatures, I think. Yeah, I think not, like, even not this turn. I might draw... Hang on, what cards are even in my deck? I think I have 1 Bestow Greatness left. No, I've used both of them. Hello. Alright. Okay, they gain 2. That's probably going to make it impossible. So, like, at some point they just start firing up the engine rats. If I don't top deck something good this turn, I think I concede. Yeah. Alright. That's brutal. We're not beating that. Not with them at 10. Like, maybe I could have scraped something together when they were at 8 if they messed up, but it's just too much. Alright. Let's do another one. So yeah, for the Raiders here, I play Magic the Gathering on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2 to 5. We just started the stream up 40-ish minutes ago. On Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I play Satisfactory. Same time. And so yeah, if you're interested in either of those games, make sure to follow. And yeah, that's that. Okay. Mana-based problems, not going to keep that. This is also mana-based problems. Literal 0 castable spells in hand. We go to 5, and we get something. Alright, let's put Hull Drifter and Speed Demon back. I need early removal, unfortunately. Alright. Maybe could have gotten away without the early removal. If they're playing blue, they might be slower. Alright. What do you have? Double Island. Double Island Guidelight Optimizer. Okay, well I found my colors. I'm going to kill their optimizer, so this hopefully will slow them down by a turn. Alright. Wreckage Wicker Folk. They're blue-black. Nothing super interesting so far. This is a turn I can get a tap land out of the way. And then next turn we hope Sabsunin carries us to victory on her own. Certainly if there were a card that can win you the game on its own, it would be this one. As pretty much as we saw last game. Like, I would have easily killed them with flying attackers if they didn't have reach. Alright. Opponent plays a forest. More Sultai mirrors, I guess. The Sultai mirrors will continue until morale improves. Let's slam the frog and hope they don't have a counterspell. Alright, we're in play. Please don't have the old switcheroo. If you have the old switcheroo, then that's that. Alright, they have Siphon Fuel. That's just about as worse. Aha, you fool. You've fallen right into my trap. Broodheart Engine, activate, get Sabsunin back. Hope you have another one. They have another one. Fair enough. Well, I'm going to play Aetherdrift. Jeez, the double Siphon Fuel is unfortunate. Not much that kills a Sabsunin. Alright, so with Bestow Greatness, I can attack here, but it's kind of suspicious. I think I might try to get them to attack in and not activate the Serpent. Alright. This makes this a 7/6, which wins in combat. Alright, we got there. They have a Hull Drifter, which means they get infinite value. Alright, Pilot is not that scary. Alright, so we can Grimbauble the Pilot, I guess. It's not even that great. But it's a thing we can do. And we can scry, or surveil rather, now. I don't think we attack and trade with the Hull Drifter. It's a 3/2 vehicle, crew 3, which is much worse than just a 3/2. Okay, they have a Gear Hulk, which does nothing because I'm empty-handed. You'll love to see it. Still a 4/4 lifelink ward 1. Okay, they're using it to loot. And they don't do anything. Okay. They stall out a Aetherdrift, which I guess is kind of a problem. That's like my best creature on the board right now. But in the long term, I'm not going to win this game if I don't draw a creature better than a Aetherdrift. So I think I'm happy with them doing that instead of something else. Alright, let's get some Surveil in. I would love a Speed Demon or something like that. Opponent is paused. Engine Rat spin out. That's probably fine, I guess. It's definitely not amazing. But that's just Ward 1. We can very easily pay for that. And get that out of there. And increase our speed. We have a momentum breaker, so we're probably going to be gaining some life at some point. They return another pilot to hand. Not surprising at all. These pilots are a problem, though. Don't fully know how to deal with them, aside from just getting a bigger creature so that they can't attack. Alright, they leave the Wicker Folk back to protect me from getting max speed. I'm going to play a rat and activate it on my turn. So now I'm at speed 3. I think we're probably going to get aggroed out here, unfortunately. Like, we need to not die. Which means making some pretty bad blocks. And they can just return that back. Okay, we draw a land. That's probably, what, 3, 4, 5, 6? Alright, so I'm taking 6 here. I can be at 13. But we just sort of bottomed out. Like, they had 2 removal spells for Osabsun, and we've had to mulligan to 5 as well. If we had 2 more cards in hand, if we'd kept a 7, I think we'd be good. And also, I think if we had not bottomed the Speed Demon and bottomed this Momentum Breaker instead, maybe we would have been fine. Alright. We go to 4, we untap, we draw a cool card that's not going to save us, and we concede. Alright, another brutal game against another Sultai deck. Alright, now we're 2-2. I need to get a win. If I don't get a win, then I will not have the gems to do another draft, and we will have to we'll have to switch to Explorer, which would be a shame because I prefer doing drafts, honestly. All right, let's wait. All right. You find an opponent. Triple blue is another mulligan. Alright, we have mana, we have spells. This is pretty good. I think we get rid of the Broodheart engine and just keep interaction, giant finisher. Yeah, if you're enjoying, make sure to follow. It helps me out a lot. And do I play Momentum Breaker on 2? Probably not. Probably wait for it to kill something. I deploy basic Lantron. Just cycling a fairy. This is probably going to be a longer game. Thank you, Brouhaha Gaming, for the follow. I appreciate it. Alright. Actual draw go. We are just playing draw go. I don't know if this is good or not for me. They're cycling, so they're probably going to have good cards in hand once they're done cycling all the bad ones away. Okay, Sarcophagus isn't scary, and we draw a mole. Finally. Alright, so we get to do something. Or apparently not. That's fine, I will bobble your Sarcophagus. Oh, and they're Teamer, they're not blue-red. That's interesting. Thunderhead Gunner is a fantastic target for Momentum Breaker. Get rid of that. And now we pass and surveil with the Grim Bauble. What could their hand be? Could be mana problems. They could have like double red or double green cards. They've cycled so much though, and you have to expect that they have like a bunch of bombs in their hand or something. Another Gunner. Alright. That's scary. Hopefully the Grim Bauble will find me something good. Risky shortcut and the land. I think we bottom the land and take the shortcut. Alright. That's great. We draw a rat. Which might... I mean, they might be as full on removal as I was. So this might just die. If it doesn't, it can stonewall the Gunner. Alright, they have discarded another land. They are a bit flooded then, but they're obviously fixing that. This card is just so good. Like it always is so hard to deal with for me. Alright, they flood the engine on my rat. The engine rat has been flooded. And they get even more draw discard. Alright, do I play the Serpent now? Like, they probably have more removal. It would be a reasonable guess, at least. I think I kind of have to, though. I think I kind of have to play a larger creature and hope that the Flood the Engines was their only best, their best removal spell. I need to stabilize against this Gunner. And Haunt the Network is currently minimum value. Alright, they discard a Rover Blades, which is horrifying because why did they not just play that? Like, if they play that and equip it to their Gunner, what do I even do? Okay, so that is a Menace attacker. So that's encouraging. It means they can't deal with my Serpent, otherwise they never would have done that. Alright, that's just permanently gone, basically. Like it doesn't exist. Poor Engine Rat. Alright, Earth Rumbler is bad news. That's a 7/6. Alright, I think the plan is we attack in and play like we don't know how Earth Rumbler works. And then bestow greatness them. Alright, we got them. Unless they have a counterspell. Alright, combat tricks. Good and limited. News at 11. Alright, let's... Is there even a point hunting the network now? I guess I may as well use my mana. Get 2 flyers. They might attack with the gunner. They discard a Hull Drifter. What are they doing? Discarding Hull Drifters and Rover Blades. Like, what are they trying to find? Marshall's Path Cruiser. 3 mana. Alright. If they can assemble 5 colors of mana, fine. Like, I would slam the Hull Drifter every day of the week. Why are you discarding it to Thunderhead Gunner? Alright, no blocks. Take 3. Play a thing. So this attack makes them be dead next turn. And also I can gain 4 off of Momentum Breaker, so I'm way higher than I look. I'm at 15, effectively. And I'll do that this turn. May as well give them the opportunity to think they have lethal and make a mistake or something. But I see. That is why they were getting rid of all of those cards. Well, man, I'm just trying to play like fair, grindy, mid-range. Here my opponents are bringing back like 10 creatures. Man, if I... Alright. Go to -19. Very cool. Very cool, opponent. I assume they had that from the start, which is why they were doing all of that. So let's claim our quote-unquote winnings. And yeah, 830 gems. You'll notice that's not 1,500 gems. So, off to explore ranked, where there are no consequences and you can just play and have fun. Alright. And we start off with a pretty good hand. We have Fatal Push available on 1 if we need it. Fear of Missing Out on 2. Alright. I would love to push an Elvish Mystic. Just slow you down a little bit. Fear of Missing Out is going to pitch the Fable, because if I find a land, I want to be playing the Annex. And if I don't find a land, I need to be playing a Harvester to look for it even more. Wolf Willow Haven. Alright, so the Duress changes things. They're going to be like some sort of green devotion. So I think we just get a look at their hand. It's all creatures. And the advantage of this is we get to play Blood Tithe Harvester this turn. And hopefully just clock them. I'm going to change the stream title to Rakdos Mid-Range Explorer. Do that. Alright, Torch the Tower is actually great here. It's not a land, but I can minus that, torch it, and get my attacks in with Fear of Missing Out. And also turned on Delirium in the meantime. And I think we pass. If I draw a land, I'd like to play Sheoldred next turn. If I don't draw a land, I'd like to play Annex. I think these are like my two best cards for now anyway. Alright. Fear of missing out attacks no longer live. Alright, we draw Thoughtseize, which is nothing. And now we get to start taking damage from our Annex. Good news is opponent has drawn a whole lot of mana and not much to do with it. I guess they can fire up the Lair of the Hydra. Or Beseiju an Unholy Annex, but that would give me my 4th mana, so I don't even know if that is good for them. Like, I would love to play a Sheoldred next turn. Alright, they just fire up the Lair. And they leave the Troll back. That's probably good for me. Alright, still no land, unfortunately. Which means I think we are cooked here. Alright, we found the land too late to help. So if I play the second Annex, I take 4 down to 8. Yeah, I can't even play the second Annex. I actually just have to pass. Hopefully draw a removal spell. Alright, Fatal Push deals with the Lair. That's pretty good. Alright, they Beseiju, which gives me a land tapped. And now I just have to Fatal Push the Lair, chump block the Old Growth Troll, maybe? Unless they give me an Elf to block. What is this? It's going to be X equals 6. See how they attack. They are attacking with everything they can attack with. So I will push the Lair, block a Mystic, take 4. Alright, Fear of Missing Out. Not amazing. So we can get this first attack in for free, and then pass to have blockers available. We might win this game yet, unless they top deck literally any payoff. If they top deck a Storm the Festival or something, or a Turn Timber Symbiosis, this is specifically what I asked you not to do. You get a 4/4 Llanowar Elves. The Old Growth Troll was exiled, right? That's funny. Alright, so what do we do here? I think we attack with Sheoldred. We probably should have attacked with the Fear of Missing Out to untap the Sheoldred and see what they do then. So if they double block, we completely annihilate them with this Fatal Push. Alright, we got him. Yeah. I fully agree with that concession. I mean, maybe they top deck something, right? Like, maybe it's too early, but it's pretty rough. Let's bring in a bunch of interaction that actually works. The Trolls are 3 mana, right? So Anoint with Affliction works against them. Duress is awful. Fatal Push is kind of sus. Thoughtseize is not great. Torch the Tower isn't great. I don't know, something like that. Our plan in this matchup is mostly to be super aggressive and get him that way. Like, I cannot win a long game. Removal spells are to clear out blockers more than anything else, so we can cut a couple of them. Alright, this is nowhere near aggressive enough. This at least has a Damping Sphere and a Shieldred. I don't want to go to 5. Keep double Mutavault in case they're creatures. Alright, Wolf Willow Haven. So that makes it tap for an additional green, which I think means Damping Sphere stops it. They still are going to have a bunch of mana from the double Llanowar Elves, but not much I can do about that. Alright, third Mutavault is a bit awkward. Alright, and they have a troll. And they have 2 Llanowar Elves protecting the troll. So Liliana minus just gets a Llanowar Elves. I think we go Liliana plus, get rid of a Mutavault. Their last card was a troll, so that was definitely worth it. And we also eat a turn of damage from the troll, which is not irrelevant. Alright, so far the only payoff I've seen out of their deck is Turn Timber Symbiosis. I assume they have all the regular suspects, but so far they've only drawn Ramp in both games. Another Elves. Alright, Unholy Annex is fantastic. So we play that. We fire up a Mutavault. And we draw an additional card. Would love to be hitting land drops here. But as long as they can't deal with this Shieldred, I'm in a pretty good spot. Alright, he says, before they instantly deal with the Shieldred. Alright, that's actually great. My own Damping Sphere. My own Damping Sphere is getting me here because I can't play Fear plus Anoint. I would have top decked a land, which would have made it work, but I think that's just way too risky. Outcaster Trailblazer, adding mana they can't use. Does this make a wolf? Yes, it does. Alright, so because I have double Mutavault, I can't invoke Despair. I can, however, fear of missing out. Get rid of a Blood Tithe Harvester, I guess. Blade of the Oni is quite good. Now I don't have to spend mana every turn on Mutavault activations. I also draw a 4th Black Source for the Invoke, which will just get a Llanowar Elf and draw me 2 cards. Well, it'll also kill the Wolf Willow Haven, I guess, technically. Actually, Takenuma Channel Get Back Shieldred is probably better. Alright, give me that. And so if I make this attack and untap it, I can either eat 2 Llanowar Elves or trade with a Trailblazer, which I think is favorable. Alright, They're blocking with everything, which makes sense to avoid a combat trick. Let's go to damage and kill the Trailblazer so that they cannot draw a billion cards. Pretty sure that's significantly favorable trade for me. Especially opponent is at 8 and dying fast. They drew something they can't play. Wonder what that's about. I'm going to shock a Blood Crypt and invoke Despair you. So there goes the Elf, there goes the Haven. I draw a card. And I draw Fatal Push, which that's pretty good. I can at least get rid of an Elf. Silverback Elder, whenever you cast a creature spell, do something. But you don't have a creature spell to cast, so that card does nothing. Cool. Destroy target creature. Play Immutavault. Fatal Push target creature. And then we can attack with Blade of the Oni and Mutavault, and they die. Alright, we managed to win a game, and all it took was them not playing any Storm the Festivals or Nykthoses at any point. Like, no Storm the Festival, nothing. They were just playing good, clean, honest green ramp cards that ramp into nothing, and some random Silverback Elder, I guess. Alright. Get another opponent. This hand is a lot of lands, but we do have a removal spell and a card advantage engine. Can't really complain about it. Yeah. Opponent is taking a while to decide. While they're doing that, you can take a while to decide if you want to follow me. It would mean a lot to me. And I stream Magic Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2 to 5. I play pretty much as much Draft as I can, and then Explore as well. And other than that, I also play Satisfactory, so if you're interested in factory building games, check that out too. Alright, we're playing against Phoenix. I have played Phoenix a lot myself. And I think they almost certainly have shocks and stuff. So the Fable putting a creature into play might make things marginally easier for them to cast 3 spells with the Spikefield Cave. Thespian Stage? Why are they playing Thespian Stage? Is this not Phoenix? What other blue-red Artist's Talent deck is there? Well, I'm going to play Fable and then fire up the Mutavault for the drain. Oh, is this like Electro Dominance or something? They're playing Considers. Okay, it's Lotus Field. It's a different build of Lotus Field. Did they trip and drop their Lotus Field deck and their Phoenix deck together? Like, what is going on here? So I guess the Artist's Talent gives their things a discount. Genuinely, completely flummoxed by what they're doing. Alright. We get a Thoughtseize, so we get to figure out. What do you have over there? Alright, yep. It sure is Lotus Field. Alright, I think Mutavault attack does more damage because it means I have a demon. Oh, I'm getting a treasure. I could have Sokenzoned for the 2 points of damage and had a Mutavault attack. That was a mistake. Alright, another Thoughtseize is great if I live to my turn, but you never know. They very much could find a Lotus Field in here. But if we can Thoughtseize their other pour over the pages, they kind of are almost out of gas. Like, these hidden strings are -1 card each. Even with the artist talents, like, they just loop. Alright, dig through time. So much for them being almost out of gas. I have all these removal spells, which I can remove my own Goblin Shaman with, which I will not be doing for obvious reasons. Alright, they find a Lotus Field. And they have a Hidden Strings. They are, like, super low on cards, though, still. Like, they only have 1 Lotus Field, 1 pour over the pages. This is not guaranteed for them. And this is why this deck is so fun to play against. Alright, they're not pouring. Is their last card another Hidden Strings? Yes? Alright. So they get 1 pour over the pages to find stuff to continue the combo. And artist talent triggers do nothing here. Alright, you have 2 cards. If they get another pour over the pages, I'll concede. Alright. Yeah. I trust them. They have a win somehow, probably. Let's bring in Damping Spheres. And I guess, I mean, maybe a Unlicensed Hearse, maybe a Liliana, just to squeeze them on resources even more. Does their graveyard matter to them that much? Probably. They probably have, like, there's something in there that cares about the graveyard. Let's bring those guys in. And Fatal Pushes and Torches and go for the throats out. Withering Torment can stay in since it's Enchantment Hate. Alright, let's try this, and we're just going to need to be as aggressive as possible, preferably with a Thoughtseize or 2. Alright, 3 Thoughtseizes. This hand is not aggressive, but if Duress Thoughtseize doesn't beat them on a mulligan, then I don't know what to say at that point. Alright, we take Stock Up or Expedition Map? I think we take Expedition Map and take Stock Up next turn. Alright, we don't draw a second black source, which is a shame. Alright, they consider pre-Thoughtseize, which I think is a mistake. I wasn't going to take it. Alright, take a Stock Up. I should have probably played out the Blood Tithe Harvester last turn. Alright, they have 2 Viziers and a Lotus Field and top decks. And we have no threat. We have no clock at the moment. They are playing out the Lotus Field. Right on Time Thorned Land Drop. I played Blood Tithe Harvester here because it is ever so slightly a faster clock, and it lets me get rid of 1 of these annexes. I do not need 3. Of course, they find the Thespian Stage, so they're going to have 6 mana next turn. I do find another Thoughtseize. And I think I have to cast the Thoughtseize and Fear of Missing Out. And we take a Vizier. Just deprive them of all the resources we can. If they want to Flood Moss, that's not the worst thing in the world. They don't flood maul us immediately, which means we get an attack for 3 in. Alright, they cycle their second Vizier. Are they going to be going this turn, or are they just trying to find something? Alright, they have Artist's Talent. Pour over the pages. Alright, their spells aren't reduced. This is still very bad for me. But they could easily brick here. It's literally 3 random draws. Yeah, they're just firing up Artist's Talent. Alright, no. They're firing up Artist's Talent and Hidden Strings. Goodness gracious. What a combo deck. Okay. Lear is concession. You know, it's always a good sign when you cast literally 4 Thoughtseizes, take literally 4 of their combo pieces, and it's a mild nuisance for them. Like, that combo deck is so unfair. Like what are you supposed to do about it? I guess literally just play an aggro deck. I don't think there are any non-aggro decks which can realistically beat that. Like, I literally cast 4 discard effects, and they were fine. Right, let's Thoughtseize this opponent. Hopefully that works better. It does. We take a Waste Not, and their deck is bad now. And it's simple as that. I don't know, maybe I'm supposed to take their Thoughtseize so that they don't get information, but like the Waste Not deck without the Waste Not shouldn't be that hard. They didn't take my Duress, which means I even get to take their Liliana. Alright, now we get to top deck. And we top deck more Thoughtseizes, apparently, which I guess is fine. Take the Withering Torment, because it's more flexible. That can kill my card advantage engines, as well as creatures. Alright, we get a Fear of Missing Out. They're just going to Fatal Push it. I think we keep the Torch. I think we keep the Torch because it might like hit a Liliana or something. Alright, now this is the big turn. If they don't have a discard effect this turn specifically, we play Unholy Annex and we run away with the game. If they do have a discard effect this turn specifically, like a Duress for example, then we are back to top deck mode. Graveyard Trespasser is concerning. I need something to bargain with Torch and also another card in hand to kill that. I play a 4th land for Sheoldred purposes. But I have no idea how I'm going to beat this Graveyard Glutton. It seems like we may have done their game plan for them. And unfortunately we drew our Unholy Annex at just the wrong time. Alright, we have a Harvester. Harvester is something. And we pass. We pass to try to turn this Torch the Tower into something useful. That is Ward discard a card, which that's never happening. A second Graveyard Trespasser. Alright, I think we probably die to that. I could maybe beat one of them like with... Okay, maybe if I get a Sheoldred. If I top deck a Sheoldred, I can play it, maybe stabilize the board. I think we take a chump block here while we can. Oh, I was supposed to cycle the blood. Whoops. I think we're dead. We needed a Shieldred. I forgot to cycle the blood. Maybe we get one more look. Alright. Duresses and Thoughtseizes 100% out. I do not need those in the top deck scenario. Liliana in. Invoke Despair in. Are they... Do they have graveyard stuff? No, not really. Bankbuster in. And I guess 2 Thoughtseizes are probably fine. Like, early game, Thoughtseize takes away... what's it called? Early game, we can snag a Waste Not or a Liliana. We don't want to top deck them in the late game, but we've gone down a bunch of them, so it should be fine. Alright. Currently waiting on our opponent. Alright, they have finished sideboarding. Alright, this is fine. So obviously we are on Fear of Missing Out Tribal. And hopefully they just get run down. Alright, they duress a Fatal Push. And we can just play a bunch of creatures for the rest of the game. Keep the Blade in case we draw an Annex. Discard a Fear of Missing Out. We draw the 4th Fear of Missing Out. That's interesting. Alright, they have their Waste Not this time. I need to hit land drops. Let's play the Fear of Missing Out. Discard the other Fear of Missing Out. Yes, thank you, very cool. Good old Waste Not. Punishing me for doing the thing my deck does. The good news is... decent chance I get Delirium off of Artifact. Yes, so that takes Bankbuster, which gives me Delirium. Which means my Fear of Missing Outs are now really quite scary. And they've had 2 Duresses. If they have a Thoughtseize, they can take my Shieldred. If they don't have a Thoughtseize and I top deck a land... Alright. Didn't happen. Let's attack for, like, 8. So they can untap each other. One of them gets pushed, which is fine, because I have this Blade of the Oni, which is more important. Alright, we get a Chump Block even. Now we play the Annex. It's not going to be gaining us life this time, but it is going to be drawing cards, which is hugely valuable against them. Just, like, any card... Like, their deck is full of 1-for-1s. Any card advantage you can get is really, really good. Alright, Gaia Reach Sanitarium. So that triggers draw, discard, which means, you know, they can trigger Waste Not whenever they want now. Probably could anyway. They have 4 cards in hand. Alright, another Fatal Push on my Fear of Missing Out. That is now 4 Fear of Missing Outs in the graveyard. I think I jam Shieldred here. Like, if they can't deal with it, it is a massive problem, which only gets worse. Alright, they give me a 5th land, which I probably don't need, so this is just going to give them double black mana, which hopefully they can't use. I feel real silly if they have a Go for the Throat. They don't. I was correct. Alright. Now we get to be Liliana of the Veil. So there goes my Shieldred, unfortunately.
Sacrifices must be made.
Another Fatal Push. So that's already minused, so I think I unlock Ritual Chamber and get a 6/6. So they can probably deal with the 6/6, but it's still kind of annoying. Alright, I am thrilled to get rid of a Fatal Push here. Kind of don't remember those still being in the deck, but whatever. Alright, they have their own Fatal Push for my Demon, as expected. So I can play a new Demon and a Fable. Now, Fable draw discard is going to be... It's going to be a bit awkward. Just putting that out there. Whenever I discard a non-creature, non-land card, they draw a card. Alright, they have... Is that 4th Fatal Push? Yes. I had 4 Fear of Missing Outs. They have 4 Fatal Pushes. Seems fine. So they can trade the Liliana for the Goblin Shaman, or they can just uptick and have me discard again. Alright. That's probably good for me, just not having to deal with the Liliana ever again. Unless they have a backup Liliana. Alright, Shieldred actually doesn't matter. We have the Go for the Throat, which was just rotting in our hand otherwise. Alright, main phase. I think we keep the Thoughtseize. Okay. Yeah, I think we keep the Thoughtseize. And we Thoughtseize, play Bloodtithe Harvester. Alright, that worked out brilliantly. And now we get to even have a Mutavault. Alright, Graveyard Trespasser killed me last game. This game, it just dies to Liliana. None of those are creature lands. Oh, the rest of my hand is so good. Another Fable. That's pretty cool. Alright, who's playing the Liliana now, opponent? I will discard this Torch the Tower. So you can draw another card. And you can sack a creature. Goodbye, Graveyard Trespasser. Hello, Mutavault. I think we play out the Fable here, rather than firing up the Mutavault. So this does drain me for 2, and not drain them for 2, but it's so much better later. Alright, we have Invoke Despair. Can't get too excited, they're a discard deck. But if we untap with this, the game ends, I think. Yeah, goodbye Fatal Push, don't care about you. If we can kill this Waste Not, they have no value and I have infinite value. Alright, Castle Lochthwain draw. They're dead, right? Yeah, okay. They're dead on board to Reflection. Alright, Fatal Pushes are bad. Can I replace them with literally anything relevant? Maybe just Thoughtseizes are better than Fatal Pushes. Anoint with Affliction kills the Trespassers, which is better. And, I don't know, maybe one Duress. Not really sure how to sideboard against Waste Not. It's not super common. Alright. This hand is pretty good, and pro tip, don't mulligan against discard decks. It's so bad. Like, just keep any plausible looking 7. Alright, we play Blood Crypt tapped. They probably have... Alright, they don't have a turn 2 Waste Not. That's good for me. I should have played the cliffs there. I didn't notice that I drew them. So we can put a Harvester in play. And we wait to see what they do. Alright, Swamp, Waste Not. No discard spell to follow it up, though. Well, I'll play an Unholy Annex with no demon, but that's fine. Just have to not discard creatures, because that gives them zombies, which are a bit hard to deal with how I've sideboarded. Alright. There's a demon. And there's a Fable. Now, my opponent has cast literally one spell all game so far. So I am not optimistic this Invoke Despair will remain in my hand. However, again, if it does, the game ends. Alright, I'll fire up the Mutavault. They can Field of Ruin it, but that means they're not doing anything else, pretty much. Alright, they have Withering Torment for the Unholy Annex instead. That's still fine, though. We still have a Fable. We still have a Blood Tithe Harvester. Like, they do need to deal with our board. Alright, they deal with the board, but now we get to Invoke Despair, take their Waste Not. Yeah, let's let them make 4 mana. I strongly doubt it will do anything. Wait. I'm an idiot. I needed a black source. I should have discarded the Sokenzan. That's so bad. Gosh, I'm going to lose from that. Okay, it's fine. We'll just play out a Bankbuster and a Harvester. And we will Invoke Despair next turn. Hopefully. Nope, they have the Thoughtseize. Just perfectly timed to punish my mistake as brutally as possible. It's definitely not over. Like, I even think we're still probably ahead, just because we have a board presence they don't. Yeah, so that can just be Go for the Throated. So I think we go to my turn here. We draw a land, which we can discard to Go for the Throat. Yes, target that. Resolve, give you 2 mana, which you're not going to use. That's crew 3, which means we can crew it with Reflection plus Fear. This also draws me a card, because I don't have anything to discard at the moment. Alright, so that does stop me crewing the Bankbuster, which is pretty good for them. Still, though, feeling pretty far ahead. I'll play a land, attack for 3, and then draw a card at their end step after they have their opportunity to discard. And if we can get Delirium, they die. Alright, Children the Apocalypse. Actually, not much of a problem. Well, no, I have 2 Bloods. I thought I had 3. Alright, so I can fire up double Mutavault. Alright, this is a very janky way of doing this. But we fire up 2 Mutavaults. We crew the Bankbuster. what is this? Enchantment land instant. Alright, so then we cast a Duress to get Delirium. And then we attack with these two. Untap the Bank Buster. And now if they block, we can no attacks. Second main phase Blood Tithe Harvester sack to kill the Sheoldred. That was a lot of work to deal with one creature. But it worked. And now they're at 5. I have 2 Mutavaults and a Fear. Should be fine here. They get to draw an extra card off of that. But I can't imagine them getting out of this situation with 2 mana. Yep, they concede. Alright. Another good game. If you're still hanging out after the raid, thanks so much. I appreciate it. It'd be cool if you could follow. And yeah, that's that. Currently waiting. Let's get into another match. Going for another hour and 20 minutes, approximately. Alright. See what this opponent has. No companions, no real clue as to what they're up to. Alright, turn 1 Thoughtseize, and we have an Unholy Annex plus a Mutavault. Alright, it's the mirror. This hand is not great in the mirror. They take the Thoughtseize, but we draw the Duress, just as planned. Alright, it's not quite the mirror. They have Bone Crusher Giants, but basically the same. We'll take the Fable. And play our Mutavault. I don't want to fire it up carelessly. Oh, they're Grixis. Okay, so there's some sort of Grixis mid-range nonsense. So let's get Unholy Annex or Fable. Let's get Unholy Annex going. So next turn we can Fable and kill their Bone Crusher Giant with the Revolt trigger from them killing the Goblin Shaman. Alright, they draw another Thoughtseize. Alright. Bone Crusher Giant plus 2 removal spells might be a bit of a problem for me. Wait, they concede? Why are they conceding? They shouldn't be conceding. Alright, well, we're gonna sideboard, as assuming they're some sort of Grixis midrange. Take the Thoughtseizes and Dresses out, because they're bad in the late game. We bring in maybe Unlicensed Terse. We bring in Bankbuster, and Anger, and Invoke Despair. Maybe want to Anoint with Affliction for 1 Torch the Tower. Not entirely sure, but Anoint with Affliction kills Bone Crusher Giants. It's one of the few creatures we saw. Alright. Currently waiting for opponent to sideboard. The nice thing about Rakdos midrange is that, having also played a lot of Izzet Phoenix, your opponents don't really sideboard much. Like, yeah, they sideboard, but they can't really, there's no Unlicensed Hearse that just shuts down your entire game plan like with Phoenix. Very, very resilient. Alright. One lander is a mulligan, unfortunately. But two lander is pretty great. So assuming we get to keep any of these cards, which to be fair is a large assumption, then like either of these are probably great. Alright, they have tap land, I have tap land. If they go turn 2 double Thoughtseize, I'll be sad. Commercial District. Are they 5 color? They're at least 4 color. Alright, I've officially lost the plot. I don't understand why my opponent has so many colors of mana in their deck. But the good news is my current hand is pretty good against them. So Liliana, get rid of Glissa.
Mysteries. I've come. Haven't you ever heard of personal space?
And Fable of the Mirror Breaker, that's fine. So I think we push the Goblin Shaman, play this on black, play a Blood Tithe Harvester, crew the Bankbuster since we don't have the mana to use it this turn. We smack them to 4, and we Liliana plus, get rid of Anoint with Affliction, maybe? We have this blood to turn this into something else if we need to. Liliana sitting on 2 deals with her next creature. Although I don't want to do that against a Fable. Alright, we get pushed. I think Blood Tithe Harvester just as a blocker that gives value is probably going to be good. We sadly draw another Blood Tithe Harvester, which means Liliana isn't going to get to be quite as good. So the +1 is going to take a card from both of us. We take an Elder Gargaroth. Very, very happy to see that gone. So I have a bunch of blockers lined up for this Goblin Shaman, and I will block to protect my Liliana. Discard Nicol Bolas. Who plays Nicol Bolas in their green deck? Like, what is going on here? Alright, they don't have good attacks because of the Bankbuster. So I'll draw, end of turn. Just a couple of Mutavaults, no big deal. Let's play one, blood through the other. Channel Sokanzan. And I think we plus Liliana again to take their last card again. Alright, it was just a Thoughtseize.
We all have things we'd rather forget.
Alright, now they have Reflections, which is terrifying. But they don't have good attacks this turn. Alright, they make a treasure. Something seems fishy about this. Am I fine just blocking with 2 of these and not making the Reckoner Bankbuster a creature? I'd like to draw another card or 2 off of this over the course of the rest of the game. Alright, I think it's really tempting to Liliana plus here. I think we Liliana minus, get rid of a Reflection. Oh, right, they can do this. Oh, this is awful. So that's the worst case scenario, and it's entirely my fault. I could have Blood Tithe Harvestered one of the reflections.
One of your friends has to leave.
Alright, let's get rid of a Blood Crypt. We need a removal spell. Wait, I should have sacked the Harvester first. Oh, I'm playing badly. I'm playing very badly. Alright, it's fine, never punished. We draw a Withering Torment. And we can kill one of the reflections. And so that goes away on end step, and they don't have good attacks into the Liliana. So we messed up, but we're fine. Okay, they can make 2 of these. They can make 2 of these. I can block a reflection with the Bankbuster. Yeah, I think I should have harvested one of the reflections before sacking the blood or down-ticking the Liliana. Now, let's see how they attack. Just those 2 in. Alright, I can't save Liliana, so I'll just let it go through.
This isn't how things were supposed to go.
And now they have an Elder Gargaroth, which I need to kill. Alright, so the good news after all of this, like, yes, we're losing this game, but my opponent is playing Elder Gargaroth and Nicol Bolas in the same deck, so I should have a huge advantage in Game 3 just on account of my deck being good. But I think we die here. Like, they get to 2 Elder Gargaroth attack triggers. And I can't get Revolt for Fatal Push to kill the reflection. So, once again, the question becomes, what on earth is this opponent even doing? They have Planeswalkers and Glissas and Gargaroths. I think maybe I bring out a Fatal Push for an Extinction event. I don't know. So the Extinction event is more likely to be able to kill something at least. But yeah, opponent is playing some nonsense. This doesn't have enough disruption. It's all 3 mana spells. This hand is pretty good. I think we'll throw back one of the Harvesters and just use the other one. So I don't really want to play the Fear of Missing Out immediately. Alright, Duress is rough. So they take my Annex to no one's surprise. I play a Harvester, and then next turn I can Fear of Missing Out. You know, I've played 2 full games against this opponent, and I have no idea what their deck does. Aside from obviously play giant Planeswalkers and creatures and stuff. Alright, so they have a Bankbuster. I think I keep the Invoke Despair, because it's just so much more impactful. Like, yeah, I can maybe snag the Bankbuster with a Fatal Push, but more likely they're just going to activate it a bunch. Meanwhile, Invoke Despair is super castable off the Urborg. I'm not going to sack the Blood this turn because I need my 4th land drop. Alright, they Thoughtseize my Invoke Despair. Now I might sack the blood. Maybe drawing action here is higher upside. Yeah, so I think we discard the Silken Van, draw a card, turn on Delirium, and then hopefully draw into something cool like a Fable of the Mirror Breaker. And we get the land anyway as well. Let's go to combat. Alright, they Abrupt Decay the Fear. Somehow they're at 10. Not sure when that happened. They cast one Thoughtseize. They may have shocked themselves at one point. But the end result is they are at 10. I would love to draw an Unholy Annex, or a Sheoldred, or Liliana would be fine, I guess. Liliana's not amazing right now, but it certainly would be good. Alright, there goes my Goblin Shaman, Sag. Another Fable. Is another Fable going to be enough to win the game? So if I play the Fable, I can't also fire up Mutavault. Alright, Invoke Despair. We'll have to wait for next turn, but it might be enough to win the game. I'm probably pretty happy with Invoke Despair over Fable. They're also dead to Bloodtithe Harvester plus Mutavault attack. And they're just cycling a Triome? Main phase cycle Triome when you need desperately to remove stuff implies that they don't have anything. But even then, surely they... Well, I guess maybe a creature could crew the Bankbuster, but even then, it seems loose. Yeah, so if they... If I draw a land, Invoke Despair is lethal on its own. This is 6 if they have none of the categories. And if I don't draw a land, I'll fire at Mutavault and attack. Alright, and they concede. Alright, not entirely sure what happened there. They almost felt like a Yorion deck with the sheer amount of like random stuff they had that was just... like, you know, maybe not within the top 60 best cards that they could be playing. Alright, get another game in. Okay, that's a lot of lands. This is less lands. And it'll be even fewer lands once we get rid of one. Alright, I think we pretty much always just turn one Thoughtseize. Okay. It's beans. Well, I think my record against this deck is something like 1-7. So, not looking forward to this. Can get a tap land out of the way. Play a Fable next turn, but they have their own Fable. I'll push the Goblin Shaman, that'll show them. The Goblin Shaman doesn't even attack into Sylvan Caryatid, whereas Harvester does. I should have played the Mutavault, I guess. Yep, they have Bring the Light. Bring the Light for 5 colors, and they get some giant Niv Mizzet, I assume. Oh no, they get Tybalt. That's somehow worse. Yeah, I'm not beating a Tybalt Cosmic Imposter with Bloodtithe Harvester, Fable of the Mirror Breaker. And the realistic answer is I'm probably not beating this opponent no matter what. Like, this is very much one of those close to 0% matchups that this deck has. So I guess we can bring in Extinction Event, which could technically kill a giant creature if they get it. Yeah, so MtG Goldfish says that this is the best deck in the format, and frankly, I think it's probably the aggro decks are probably better. Like, the point of playing a mid-range deck is that you are consistent against multiple different decks, but there are just so many decks that completely trounce this one. So we need to be aggressive, which I think means keeping all of these cards. I think we probably fear pitch the Bankbuster. Try to find a third land for Annex. Right. Instantly Fatal Pushed, and we are never being aggressive. Alright. And we didn't hit our third land drop. So we play a Blood Tithe Harvester. If this gets killed, we lose, pretty much. Alright, Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Again, somehow worse than it being killed. We do top deck the Unholy. So we have the land. So we can draw a card. Do I just kill this Shaman with the Harvester to keep them from getting a treasure? Maybe. Yeah, I probably should have. Now they can probably just bring to light this turn even. Okay, it's a Nahiri, which exiles my enchantment. Very cool, thank you. Alright, well, Shieldred is in play at least. And untapped Black Source is Invoke Despair next turn, which would clear them out of both of those. Nahiri Plus, not great with a Shieldred in play. Alright, I need to top deck untapped black to have any chance, and also they need to have like 4 lands in hand. They don't have 4 lands in hand, as it turns out. They have a Bring to Light. They're going to get Tibalt and kill my Shieldred. Yep. Add another loss to Bring to Light onto the board. And let's do another game. Hopefully we find someone willing to play some fair, honest Magic. Alright, this hand is quite good. Turn 1 Thoughtseize. Always a great start. Alright, it's Phoenix. It's Phoenix and we take their Artist's Talent, which feels pretty good for me. So I'll play a Sokenzan and have Torch the Tower available. I don't really want to use it on anything but a Phoenix. And they're not going to get a Phoenix this turn, so probably not going to use Torch this turn. Alright. We get the Unholy Annex down while we get the chance. They could give me a fish here, which would honestly be fine by me. So now we officially have a clock. And without their Artist Talent, opponent's deck is a lot less good at finding stuff. Still very, very good at finding stuff. Alright, Prankster doesn't hit anything too exciting. And I think we just jam Shieldred. They're going to opt in response. Now they can Brazen Borrower the Shieldred, but only once. Yep, that's what I expected to see. Alright, Thoughtseize is not... Thoughtseize is probably fine. I'd love to get updated information on what they have. Fire Impulse, Torch the Tower. Is it crazy to take a Fire Impulse so that they can't 2-for-1 themselves to kill the Shieldred? Probably. I'm just gonna take the Consider. I'm gonna take the Consider, play an Annex, and draw an additional card every turn for the rest of the game. Alright, there's Mutavault. So the question is, do I... Alright, they have Artist Talent, and I think I just Withering Torment that, plus play Mutavault and start draining them. It might just be correct to put Shieldred into play. Yeah, they get a Treasure Cruise. Yeah, well, with double Burn Spell, I can't realistically put Shieldred into play and have it work. So I think we probably Withering Torment, fire up Ritual Chamber. Alright, so we can kill that. No Artist Talent for you. We can attack. Ping you for 1. Tap you for mana. And then make you a creature. So now I have Torch the Tower up. Alright, we have successfully baited a burn spell out of my opponent's hand. Bad news is now we're at 10. And also losing a land isn't great. Okay, another Treasure Cruise. So if they can only get one Phoenix, that's fine. I'll torch it. If they can get multiple Phoenixes, then we're in trouble. They still don't have a Phoenix in the graveyard. Alright, they're just going to put a Picklock Prankster into play. Alright, Duress is good. I think I play Duress Shieldred. Alright. I think I pay for the Spell Pierce, take another card, take a Lightning Axe, and play a Fear of Missing Out. And no attacks. Now I don't have Torch the Tower available, though. Which means I'm going to be taking, what, 4 in the air to the Phoenix, if they just cast it. Alright, they do just cast a Phoenix. And I go to 4. Alright, let's torch a Phoenix. Alright, 1 Phoenix down permanently. Play a tap land, play a Shieldred. No attacks, Picklock Prankster is very annoying. Alright, they impulse the Fear. Shieldred keeps me at 4, and this Mutavault plus Ritual Chambers should mean I'm fine. Oh, Prophetic Memory means I'm probably dead here. They just need to draw, like, literally 2 more cards. But they can't do it. Alright, they cannot manage to draw the extra cards they need. Alright, now we need to gain as much life as possible, as quickly as possible. So, if I do this, then I can't also fire up Ritual Chamber. So let's do Ritual Chamber, make a demon. And then if they kill that, then I can fire up Mutavault. Alright, they concede, and we get there. Scary game one. Very, very good to win it, though. Let's take in our Graveyard Hate, our multiple spells a turn hate. Fatal Push is pretty terrible. Go for the Throat is terrible. Withering Torment is fine. Nice game. Yeah, it feels good to win a close one, you know? A lot of times you lose games like that, but sometimes you win them. Alright, Duress and Thoughtseize can take... I was thinking about this before the stream, actually, in terms of like how you sideboard in this matchup. And like Duress and Thoughtseize hit Artist's Talent, they hit Treasure Cruise. They don't hit a lot of this other stuff you don't really care about. Like Phoenixes want to be in the bin. Cantrips, it's a cantrip. Not sure. So I still haven't fully decided on if these cards are good. And I think the answer is trim them. So let's try that. The Izzet Phoenix matchup is funny because like I play both of these decks and they're both reasonably common. So I play this matchup from both sides on a regular basis. And it's like it's interesting to have that perspective. This hand is not amazing, but it's definitely workable. Alright, second colored mana source is great. Opponent Artist's Talent, not great. I think we'll play the Harvester here because it has 3 power and because I'm not entirely sure what I want to discard. Hidetsugu consumes all. Would mess with their graveyard like in a turn. I think we go to combat and play the Ritual Chamber to try to hit land drops. Or Unholy Annex, rather. I don't know why this stream in particular, I keep calling this Ritual Chamber. Alright, they do be Prankstering. No Phoenixes yet. It's always a good sign. Just take a torch. Kill the Harvester. Unsurprising. It is -1 removal spell for a Mutavault, which could be a thing in the future. And I think next turn I just jam Shieldred. And if they deal with it, they deal with it. If they can't deal with it, then they lose. Alright, there's a Treasure Cruise somehow. They spent 2 mana on it, that's how. Alright, Shockland, Shieldred. Disdainful Stroke. That's rough. So without Shieldred, I don't really currently have a way of stopping them from doing whatever they want. I can torch them after the fact, but I'm down to 14 already. I think, let's see, I might just fire up the Demon. It's marginally harder to deal with. But second Unholy Annex plus fire up Mutavault is very risky. And with them leaving 4 mana up, there's no way I can There's no way I can do that with them leaving 4 mana up. That would be insane. Alright, it's in a null. Not too sad to see that on a Fable. Alright, I think I think I attack here. I'm definitely firing up the Mutavault because I need the life. And then I may as well get 2 points of damage in while I'm doing that. Alright, they bottomed. They take 2, which means they don't have anything. Alright, we have gained life. Mission complete. And then I can Withering Torment the Artist's Talent now. It's a bit late for that. Another Treasure Cruise. They are getting to have all the fun in the world. Alright, they put a Phoenix in. Just one so far. They're up. Almost certainly going to get it back. Yep, that's their 3rd spell for the turn. Is there a second Phoenix? There's not a second Phoenix. If they have a Phoenix, they are going to cast another spell to put the second Phoenix in. Otherwise, we just take 3 and torch the Phoenix, and we're good to go. Alright, kill you. Alright, that makes sense. They're going to kill it in response so that it goes to the graveyard instead of exile. And then I will play Blood Crypt untapped. Second Unholy NX, fire up Mutavault attack. So if they have a, what's it called, Flood Maw, then they can bounce this, and then I probably die. Yeah, had to go for it, but now I take 4 to my mana base. Right, Blade of the Oni is decent. That's an additional thing. Third Path Iconoclast, and then 3 cantrips, I assume. Treasure Cruise. Oh, if only I had a Sheoldred. Yeah, there's no way we're beating the game where they cast 3 Treasure Cruises. Like, I guess technically we could top deck an Anger of the Gods. And that's what we're going to hope for. But it's pretty slim hope. Alright, we go to 1. Because I found a second Phoenix. Alright, Extinction Event on even. Choose even, get rid of all that. Put a Mutavault in. Put a Blade of the Oni in. And do you have another bounce spell? You don't. Alright. Call it a comeback. They have 16 cards in their library. They need to beat me with these last 16 cards. If they find 2 Phoenixes this turn, that'll do it. Iconoclast isn't a Phoenix. Fire Impulse the Demon. Alright. Hidetsugu consumes all, kills that. It also kills my blood token. So if I play an Urborg, I sack the blood. I get rid of Harvester, I guess. Alright, so now we Hidetsugu consumes all. So this blows up the soldier. Then we Withering Torment. No, we can't. We don't have the mana. Alright. We need Fear of Missing Out to chump block. Because we also need to fire up the Mutavault to gain life. Alright, they have the Fire Impulse for the Mutavault, which means we're dead. We go to 1, they have 2 attackers. Very, very close game again. Honestly, this matchup is just really fun. Like, I pretty much always enjoy myself both sides of this matchup. It's very, very back and forth. Alright. See if we can get game 3 on the play. Alright, we have Anger. We have no early interaction, but we have Anger of the Gods. So, hopefully that'll be enough. And it probably won't be, but we also have Unholy Annex and all of this other stuff. Alright, Blood Tithe Harvester on 2 is great. Lets us not do nothing for the first couple turns of the game. Now they technically have a threat they need to answer, which they should be able to do easily. They've got lots of burn in their deck. We attack, and I think we lead on Fable, because it's more likely to get countered. Yep, there's the Annul. Alright, tap land. Go to attacks. Picklock Prankster in combat, I guess. Alright, they get a Spell Pierce, which they have available right now, so I guess we do nothing. We're gonna need to bait the Spell Pierce out onto something, or they tap out. Either one would be fine. Prophytic Memory, that's scary enough that I want to Withering Torment it. Like, that is one of their primary win cons for if the graveyard gets locked down, which I would like to do. So let's actually sack a blood here. Toss the Hidetsugu. I'm not entirely sure that that card is good enough. Alright, that's great. So we Thoughtseize them. Grab a Treasure Cruise. Withering Torment your Prophytic Memory. And attack for 3. And we get a chump block. So they have the Phoenixes. They can start hard casting them and attacking. Hard casting them and defending, apparently. Alright, we're going to run out an Unholy Annex here. They're going to Spell Pierce it. We're going to move on with our lives. -1 Spell Pierce. Do I attack and trade with the Phoenix, knowing that it's like pretty hard for them to get them back? Yeah, let's do that. They do not have any really castable instants and sorceries in their hand, like maybe one. Alright, so now we get to annex around Spell Pierce. If they do negate, that sucks. They have a lot of counter magic in. Alright, I think we win this race, though, at least as it currently stands. And we can always pull the trigger on this Anger if we want to. Alright, they're casting a Consider, which Means they were hoping to get a Phoenix back. They failed, though. Alright, so I can Hidetsugu consumes all, and if they don't get their Phoenix back next turn, it'll be gone forever, along with, 12 cards in graveyard. First mode does nothing, but... Now we attack for 5. Alright, Fiery Impulse makes sense. It does make this anger better, because it means I won't necessarily have any creatures in play. Alright, just hardcast another Phoenix. Alright, this is going to be an interesting one. So I am super low. I'm at 4. But they lose a Phoenix in the graveyard, and then they get angered. And I do have a Mutavault. I do have a Mutavault, and this is going to turn into a creature next turn. Fire up the Dork. And go attacking. So I'm at 4. They have 1 Phoenix left in their deck, and I wouldn't die to it. So they could have a Crackling Drake. They could obviously have an Iconoclast, and I wouldn't die to the Phoenix, but, like, it wouldn't be good. Alright, their graveyard is filled again, and a Brazen Borrower is scary. Alright, not going for the Brazen Borrower, just putting a Picklock Prankster in. Alright, Fear of Missing Out is not a live draw, but it is a redraw. Black Cleave Cliffs is not a live draw or a redraw. Pass. And maybe Vessel of the All-Consuming. Maybe Vessel of the All-Consuming can do something useful. You never know. Maybe I should have attacked with the Mutavault first, just like to see if I can get him. Iconoclast, Otawara. Attack for 1. Alright, so Annex doesn't help. So I can play Annex, make a demon. The demon gets bounced and I die. Is this a demon? No, it's an Ogre Shaman. Well, let's see. They have to block at least one of these. I could have put them to 1 here with the Mutavault attack. But no, the Mutavault attack would have made Ritual Chamber make a demon impossible. Alright, what is this? Target non-land permanent? So that could bounce a Ritual Chamber. It can't bounce a Mutavault. And I need the life gain. So I think we technically have outs here. Alright. They bounced the Annex, but did they mess up? If I cast this, I go to 5. Oh, they have Spell Pierce, right? So I think I messed up there. I think I needed to hold the Mutavault. I needed an additional mana to go to blocks with the Mutavault. And now I die. So if I block with the Mutavault there, I still die, so it didn't matter. Ugh. Another painfully close game that we just barely don't quite get there. Alright, let's do another one. Opponent's username is Try My Soup. I don't think I will. I think I'd rather stick to my own soup. Alright, if they're aggressive, this is great. If they're not aggressive, that's what Fable is for. Alright, looking like not aggressive. We'll play a tap land on 1, Harvester on 2. So this is Demir something or other. Is it ninjas or is it control? Are you going to put a ninja into play? Alright, no. Looking like control. Looking a whole lot like some sort of control deck. Let's just keep playing cards until one of them resolves. Is this? This probably going to get countered. Yep. Alright. Maybe the next Fable will make it through. And if this Fable doesn't make it through, maybe the one after it will. Alright. We resolve a spell. Which is great, because Fable gives you good value. Approximately a 2-for-1. Just for resolving. Alright, I am going to get rid of Fatal Push. If they have creatures, they're going to be big. Alright, Unholy Annex is good. Thoughtseize is great. I think I decline. I think all these cards are kind of nuts. So I want to go for the Throat in case they have a Shieldred or something at some point. Aha, okay. That's what we're doing. We're doing Days Undoing Cheese. So let's take Days Undoing. Put a land into play. Let's go to attacks. So they're going to have a Narset, and they're going to try to wheel and refill their hand and empty mine. Alright, fire up the Mutavault. They can Edict this if they want by selecting non-token creature. Yep, that's fine. The card draw is probably... The life isn't super important. It's not bad, but, you know. Alright. Do we want to just get another Annex into play here? I think let's go to attacks first. Get another treasure. And I think we put a Ritual Chamber into play, so now if they Days Undoing us, if they slam a Narset or something, at least we have a 6/6. They're going to have to Wrath pretty much this turn, and we can make another Demon next turn, or play a Fable and a Fear. So if they don't have the land for Deadly Cover-Up, then they take 10, and then they're going to die. Path of Peril gets rid of the 2 tokens, but not the Reflection. Alright, so this is actually fine. I have a Reflection, and I have a Fear of Missing Out with Delirium, which is, like, all I need to do a lot of damage. I will get rid of the Go for the Throat since it is seeming increasingly irrelevant. Let's make a Fear of Missing Out token. Let's discard a Fable. This Duress could be sick at some point. So we'll attack, untap you, and you make another copy. Get rid of a Thoughtseize, because they don't have creatures. And then we attack. We untap you. And we make another copy. May as well get rid of this Fatal Push while we're at it. Basically Splinter Twin, but with a mana cost. Alright, and then we attack. And we untap any of them. This is a very, very silly combo. So they're at 6. I don't have a demon, and I'm sacking most of these spheres. Alright, they cycle a Censor. Yeah, Censor not looking great at the moment. Yeah, it turns out control decks, when they don't have card advantage or pressure or good removal, it's not great. Alright, let's take the Fatal Pushes out, go for the Throat out. Liliana in, Invoke Despair in. Reckoner Bankbuster maybe, just as even more additional value. I don't think they use the graveyard much. I don't think they want to cast 20 spells a turn. Alright. Let's win a game, shall we? Opponent is on the play, so this will be a bit hard, but we have a turn 1 Thoughtseize. Great, pretty great hand. And I think we'll probably Thoughtseize off of the Blood Crypt. Tap land, and we draw Shieldred. Oh, they are up to some cheese. Okay. So we have to take the Valky. So Jace plus Valky is a combo that lets them cast the backside. Taking either of those breaks it up. Play Fear of Missing Out. Discard Torch the Tower, I think. Of course it gets instantly pushed. And they have Stock Up. So yeah, they're like Grixis Stock Up. They're definitely trying to cheese some people, which, you know, I respect that. Their variety of cheese is pretty interesting. Control-based cheese as opposed to just pure win-the-game combo. Alright, there's the Jace. Did you draw another Valky? No, but you drew a Day's Undoing. Okay, well, this is actually pretty fine, assuming everything goes perfectly. So I play Shieldred, I fire up the Bankbuster, I kill Jace, and now if they have a Narset, that's rough. If they don't have a Narset, like, I would love my hand to be refilled. Alright, it's a second Jace, which is going to draw them a card with a Shieldred in play. You love to see it. Oh yeah, this draws 7 cards too, by the way. Don't be doing that. Alright, let's just Invoke Despair, kill the Jace, draw 2, gain 4, and then attack. Opponent is at 8. This is pretty much like, if you were to sit down and explain why this matchup was good, people would complain about you, like, giving this as an example because it's too unrealistic. Like, it just worked out perfectly. Alright. And probably one more match, and then we'll call it. It's been fun hanging out. If you've been enjoying yourself, make sure to follow. And yeah, that's all that. Alright. Waiting for another match. Ooh, a bot. That's fun. I haven't had to deal with a bot in a while. Alright, this is sketchy. If I draw a red source, it's great. I'll draw a red source. It'll be fine. What could possibly go wrong? Alright, Beseiju, Elvish Mystic. I drew something which is not a red source. Alright, this is green, white, something or other. I guess I take the Peacekeeper. They are going to get to cast the Sentinel this turn. And I guess I just play a Blade of the Oni. And I'll play a Blade of the Oni next turn too, unless I draw a red source. Alright, this card is going to be pretty good here. It has Vigilance. Why does it have Vigilance? Alright. They've drawn 2 cards off of it. I'm going to put an Unholy Annex into play. This will gain me some life. And draw me some cards. Alright, there's a red source or a second black source. Probably going to be a red source. Now the question is, can my opponent's green deck outpace the Unholy Annex life gain and kill me before I stabilize? Because I will stabilize relatively quickly here if given the opportunity. Blood Tithe Harvester will make Llanowar Elves not attack. Alright, Skyclave Apparition could be worse. Alright, they finally got a counter. Alright, if I attack here, then they have to double block. I think we attack, let them double block, kill the Skyclave Apparition. Alright, they didn't fall for the bait. So let's put a Blood Tithe Harvester into play, which will hold back some of their stuff at least. So what are they? Are they like straight up a map token deck or an explore deck or something? Alright, they reveal another Skyclave Apparition on top. Alright, am I taking the double block here? I think so. Like, I think we just need to do some trading and get to a point where the board is stable. Alright, played a whole bunch of stuff. I can Fatal Push the Kellen. What does this do? Whenever it attacks, you can put a thing into your hand. Alright, this might be reckless, but I'm going to discard the Duress, trigger Revolt, draw a tap land, unfortunately. Fatal Push the Skyclave Apparition to get my illusion, which is an 8/8. So that's fun. They have another Skyclave Apparition, which can take the Blade of the Oni, but it's non-token, so it can't take the illusion. So they don't have good attacks. And hopefully we can just keep it being like that. Sheoldred is beautiful. I love to see me a Sheoldred on a board stall. So now it doesn't matter if my opponent has good attacks, they have to do something. They top deck a Coco. Do they find anything good with it? That's 4 or less, so there goes Sheoldred. Brutal. We still have an 8/8. This illusion token is like my saving grace here. Another Collected Company on top. I don't have Wraths game 1, so it's very likely that at some point in the next turn or two they are going to be able to go wide of me. So if I block the apparition this turn, I get an additional blocker next turn. It does let them get an additional Kellen trigger, but I think I need every blocker I can get. So let's play a Blood Tithe Harvester. Let's play a Fear of Missing Out. And no attacks. So they have 6 attackers. Another Collected Company. So if they all out attack, I would go to 2. But they find a Skyclave Apparition, and that will kill me. So that means I have 1 less blocker, and there's only so many 1/1s that I can block. Alright, let's bring in Anger, Extinction Event, Liliana, Anoint. And is Hidetsugu consumes all relevant? No, probably not. Duress is out. Thoughtseize is down to 2. We might snag a Collected Company with them. Other than that, pretty bad. Alright. Match starts up. Alright, we have plenty of interaction. We have Harvesters for blockers. This hand should be fine. I think I still push a turn 1 Llanowar Elves. I'm planning on them like having to do something big and scary and then cleaning that up with the Anger, as opposed to using the Anger to stop their first couple of threats. Alright, Portable Hole. That's fine. If they're not being aggressive, then I can just keep developing, getting my blood tokens. This would die to the Hidetsugu, which is worth considering, I guess. Alright, Skyclave Apparition, take my Harvester. Don't really care about that. And I don't think I crack a blood token. I don't think it matters really which one of these I use. I'll blow that up, get my 2/2, and fire off a Thoughtseize. Knight of Autumn, Sentinel, Elvish Mystic. The Sentinel is just the hardest to deal with. The Knight of Autumn, I mean, it'll blow up an enchantment at some point, but we'll deal with that when we get to it. Alright, Pack Leader. And a Mystic. I think we pass. We're getting to the... I think we're gonna Anger of the Gods something soon. We can take 3 here. That's fine. Alright, second pack leader. That's pretty much what I was looking for. I will attack just to see if we get him. Alright, we get him. And goodbye board. Lanor Elves, not scary. Knight of Autumn, not scary. I assume it's going to be a 4-3. Yep. Alright, so we can kill that. Now, can we beat a single Lanor Elves? I sure hope so. I'm going to kill the Lanor Elves and start attacking. Like 4 points a turn when they have 0 cards in hand and 0 creatures on the board is a pretty good clock. Like they need to dig themselves out of it pretty quickly. And now I can start using these blood tokens on excess lands. So we pass. Alright, they have a Lanor Elves. We will get rid of the Blood Crypt. Alright, Unholy Annex. So what if we Blood Crypt, Shock in, play Unholy Annex, fire up the Mutavault, attack, and still have the opportunity of using a blood token. Alright, we eat the Lanor Elves, which is great. I think they probably shouldn't have chump blocked there. Just because like they need to be able to put 2 1/1s in front of a Mutavault if necessary. I don't know, maybe Hidetsugu is good. What would it even be replacing though? Maybe Withering Torment. Let's try Withering Torment out, 1 Fable out to bring in 2 Hidetsugu Consumes All. It would be very fun if it worked. It would be very, very fun if it worked. If I can blow up like a couple Lanor Elves in a portable hole and just completely swing the tide of the game. Alright, no sweepers in the opener, but it's a great opener anyway. So I think we lead on Blood Crypt tapped just to save every point of life we can. They lead on a tap land. No Lanor Elf start is great for me. Werewolf Pack Leader. I think I just play out a Blood Tithe Harvester and trade if possible. Just have to use my resources correctly, and I think this Blood Tithe Harvester can be a trade here. Alright, they don't attack, which is fine. So if we go Urborg, I think we need to go for the Throat the Sentinel just immediately, so no funny business happens. And then we pass and have the trade available, or the Torch or the Fatal Push available. Alright, they don't attack. That's converted. That's mana value 2, so we will push it off a cliff. And now we can start attacking, I guess. It seems like a Collected Company turn. So I do want a blocker and Torch the Tower available. So I will shock that in. So I have red mana for Torch. To no one's surprise, the Collected Company. Find Kellen and Sentinel. Okay, that could be worse. I will put a stop in their main phase and torch the Kellen, sacking the blood. Pardon that, sack that. These are sorcery speed. Another harvester is probably fine. It's not like amazing, but it'll probably do the job. Yep, take 3. And a pack leader. And there's the portable hole. So the old Hidetsugu's second Hidetsugu consumes all. Not the second right, that would be bad. Hidetsugu consumes all would be decent. I think I make a ritual chamber first. They can't have that much removal in their deck. They've already used some of it. Alright, they find another portable hole. That's a shame. So now this means I get attacked for 6 and they draw a card. Brutal. Ooh, a Ganjo could make blocking complicated. I would really love a Hidetsugu's second right to get my Blood Tithe Harvester back. Not second right. You know the one. Consumes all. So they can attack for 6, draw another card. And then I'm in trouble. No blocks. Want to keep the fear to double block something potentially. It's going to get harder with these stupid maps. So if I draw nothing, I will Unholy Annex, fire up Mutavault, play Blood Tithe Harvester. There's a Collected Company on top of their deck. I draw nothing. Okay. I have an Urborg, so this is on red. Unlock that. Cast that. Fire up that. No attacks. Draw a card, gain 2 life. I think I'm probably going to lose here. Skyclave Apparition. Yeah, that's very bad. I think at this point I am going to need to chump block. Yes, I think I have to chump block and hope to draw a sweeper. But not even like most of my sweepers won't do it here. Alright. Shieldred might be enough if I get lucky. If the Collected Company is bad, Shieldred is a good blocker and gains a lot of life. If the Collected Company is bad, we might make it through this. Not attacking with the Mutavault, obviously. So let's gain potentially 4. So Skyclave doesn't kill the Mutavault because it's still a land. Alright, the Collected Company was bad. We have a thing to discard to draw to gain even another 2 life. Ooh, they fire up the prairie and it becomes a llama. And that gives other creatures +1/+1. Alright, so I need to fire up the Mutavault. So resolve that, I guess. That's awkward. So I can still gain 2. But now I think I die. If that had been a fatal push off the top, I would have been sick. Alright, so I'm taking 5, 8, 11, 14. Yeah, I die here. Ugh, super annoying. Just didn't ever... We looked at a bunch of cards, never found a sweeper. Shieldred just barely short of what we needed to win. Alright. It is 5:01. I'm going to call the stream there. Good time. Thanks everyone for hanging out. I will be back tomorrow playing Satisfactory, where we are going to be hooking a bunch of resources up to our mega base. So make sure to check that out if you're interested in. Otherwise, we'll be back on